found this on the web.
And then there are two. Which former Shark in the last 3 years will get to put their name on Lord Stanley's Cup? We'll break down the conference finals. We'll get you set for the Cup final. And we go day 41 in 2024 Sharks Coach Watch and more right now on Teal Town Live. All right. And if you're new to the proceedings, by all means, if you want to be part of the show, chat with us and fellow hockey fans all over the world and in Sharks territory on the YouTube page or the app. Follow us on all the social medias. You know you love it. You know you still do. Find everything at tealtownusa.com, much to the chagrin of Ian. And if you want to support the pod, you can hit us up right now live in the super chat or post-game. You post-chat, hit us up at Venmo at tealtownusa. And with that, I say hello to Jules.
Hello.
And Ian.
Hello.
I gotta mention, guys. So Jules, have you finally made your Vegas plans yet?
No, actually, no. I don't know what's happening. Yeah, I'm just waiting at this point.
To quote Bob Cole, everything is happening.
Except for the Sharks hiring a head coach, apparently. So.
Yeah, God.
I think maybe this week. We'll see.
Hopefully.
We'll see.
They did interview Macklin Celebrini today at the Combine, so maybe
saying,
he's our new head coach.
I'm just saying, if you look at a tweet that involved Elliot Friedman, you already knew who the next head coach is. They're just waiting on Mr. Becker to deliver the contract to yours truly. But I digress. We'll get into more of that a little later on. But gang, good to see you all. Let's get right at it on this night that we're talking about hockey. And hello to everyone. Oh, how can we not say hello to Michael Molasses?
Molasses!
Good to see you, buddy.
It's great to see you. Well wishes to you, my friend. Bob, good to see you in Fairfield. Hello, up 680. TKs. All right. And of course, Amanda Bell, Jules' favorite buddy when it talks about Highland Cows.
I love Highland Cows. Yeah, no, Highland Cows for the next head coach. There you go.
All right, so let's get into the recap of the two conference finals that went down this past couple of weeks. Florida and the Rangers, if I remember correctly, Jules and Ian picked the Panthers, while yours truly and AJ decided to go Rangers because they were a juggernaut. And then what happened?
The Panthers happened.
Panthers are just really good. I mean, obviously, I think people see it now. Like if you were in denial about how good this Panthers team is before the series, I think now has really kind of highlighted it. Bobrovsky has been really good. I think Shesterkin was probably the best goalie in the playoffs, but I don't think Bobrovsky's been incredibly far behind him. Florida's a hard team to play against, man. They give you nothing. I think they're a frustrating team to play against, and they're just loaded. They've got players like I think people are now starting to realize like how good. Like I don't think he's the most underrated player in the league anymore. For a long time, Sasha Barkov was one of the most underrated players in the league, and I think that ship has sailed. I think people are probably rate him just fine now. I mean, they're just a really good team. They're really well built. And I think, this is a team that was there last year and they lost to Vegas. And I think, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I think, a team that can get back after going through that, I think it says a lot because it's a hard thing. It's a hard place to get to, period. It's a hard place to get to twice in a row.
Yeah, I mean, speaking on the Barkov, I think there was a crazy stat, like of the graphic of like the shutdown, like how much he shut down some of those top line centers, like Mika Zibanejad, who basically had no goals and was kind of, I don't want to say invisible, but basically had no goals and put up, I don't believe many points. And Like you look at Chris Kreider, he shuts them down. And there was a time there. I think the Selke Trophy is just going to be renamed the Barkov Trophy after it's named the Bergeron Trophy.
Yeah.
So like, no, I mean the Panthers, I mean they're a juggernaut. Like what can you say? Like I think we all thought going into the series the Rangers were the juggernaut, but like the Panthers are just so hard to beat and they have the funniest coach on the planet and I don't even want to argue that. So
I wish I was able to grab the presser when he's laughing about the giveaway and he's automatically scratching.
I'm gonna scratch Barkov now.
Or was that Ekblad?
Yeah, no, Ekblad, my bad. But yeah, no, the Panthers, they're just so good. The 1-2 punch of Barkov and Bennett, I think is kind of underrated. And then they have Lundell, who I think is a little underrated. He's a 21-year-old, like third year in the league, just really solid. They're a hard team to beat.
Right.
Yeah, I think, and to talk about the Rangers for a second, I think the Rangers are a really good team too. And I think, like, obviously, like with the Sharks in the position we're right now, you're obviously looking at other teams to try and to make references to as far as to try and explain how you feel the Sharks rebuild should go and how you should go about it. And I think the Rangers are a team that is interesting to me, right? Because they're a team that turned it around relatively quickly, and they were a team that also they signed Panarin when everyone was like, why are they signing this guy? They are dog shit. Right. And I think that it's an interesting they're an interesting team to look at. I think if you're looking at ways to rebuild the franchise, I think the Rangers might be a team that you would look at, maybe not completely, because I think they have they have a lot of other things going for them, I think, but I still look at a guy, and maybe Panarin, like I know some people are gonna be like, yeah, but Ian Panarin didn't do stuff, and you're not wrong. He didn't do very much, but I still think like if the Sharks can find that guy in free agency that they think can be there for the long haul, I think that is something that they should look into at some point.
Gotcha. It should be interesting, and what happens. Oh, it sounds like somebody's getting.
No, it's fine.
Okay. But Jules, I'll say the Rangers went on a schneid. They're some of their best scorers were just
they
did not show up, unfortunately.
And like I think they're a good team and they're going to be competitive for a while here. Like Lafreniere, I feel like has finally emerged as like the star we all knew he was going to be. So like I think they're probably gonna. I don't know how much cap space they have or whatever, but they're not going away anytime soon. I think they'll be back next year, and I think they're just going to be stronger next year. That decor is still good, and I know Trouba also had a really rough series.
Right,
Jacob Trouba had it rough on one of those Panthers goals.
Yeah,
Oof, mud on.
Yeah, he was definitely taking a lot of the
brunt of
it. Yeah, a lot of it, especially in that last game. Right now, they look like they're going to have $11 million of cap space going into next season. And
Not bad.
Trouba still has next year and the year after for his contract at $8 million per.
Is there no movement clause to that?
Yeah, there's a modified no trade clause. He has a 15-team no trade list. And then next season, and then next year, the player submits a 12-team no trade list. So basically, a 20-team no trade list. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. I know there are a lot of Ranger fans already calling for his head, asking why is we here? Why did we get rid of him all?
Who are we talking about?
Jacob Trouba.
Oh, Jacob Trouba. I mean, he makes a lot of money.
He makes a lot of money to throw those chicken wings.
Yeah.
I like Jacob Trouba. I just don't like Jacob Trouba at $8 million.
Yes.
Like I think he's a player on your team. Like I think he's a guy that teams can use. But I mean, at $8 million, it is a little rich for my blood. I don't know though, man. I just think that the Panthers are just better. Like I understand, like obviously Rangers fans are going to be upset about it. I think, especially when the goaltending that Shesterkin gave them all through the playoffs, right? And that's a frustrating thing to waste. But sometimes you just come against a better team, and I think that's what happened to them.
And the biggest thing too is the PK. The Rangers were 1 for 15 on the power play in this series. We talked about earlier with with Zibanejad and Panarin and,
Mhm.
and et cetera. That hurt the Rangers in the long run too. But full on Shesterkin, oh my goodness, have fun paying him, Rangers, because he kept you in a lot of these games during this run.
Yeah, that's going to get expensive, isn't it?
Oh,
Another thing for the Rangers too. I think it was a nice coming out party for Alex Lafreniere, who I think has taken a ton of shit. Some of it deserved, but I don't think a lot of it deserved. I think sometimes you have to be a little patient with the guys, and a lot of people were really quick to write him off. And I'm like, he's 21, like he's 22 now, but like at the time he was 21. I'm like, are you really going to throw this guy overboard? And it's kind of. I think that I'm fascinated to see what happens with Capo Caco if they qualify him or how they manage that, because I think he's a player, obviously he's 1 year older than Lafreniere at this point, so you're running out of time to really be anything at this point, at least living up to the position he was drafted at. So I'm fascinated to see what they do this summer. I know everyone's like, oh man, Sharks are going to go grab him because Greer likes his reclamation projects, but I think we need to, not that we, I think you should take swings on guys, but I don't know. I'm not pining for a.
If you want to go grab a guy, go like a young guy to grow with Celebrini and Smith or whatnot, go grab Marty Necas. Like that's my thought. Like if you want, I'd get the Capo hype or whatever. But if you want a guy to come in and like 25 years old, go grab yourself a Marty Necas. I don't know how old Capo is, but again, go grab Marty Necas if you want that.
Yeah.
Capo is 23.
Yes.
Okay.
He's a year older. He's a pending. He's an RFA with arbitration, right? So it'll be interesting to see how they go about that. If they qualify him, if they just don't qualify him and make him a UFA. I'm really curious to see how the Rangers approach that. I don't think he has a great arbitration case. Even if he did be like, I want to go to arbitration, I don't think he doesn't.
No. Ruben in the chat, good to see you, bud. Hope Chicago's treating you well. The Rangers wasting another goalie's talent? No way. Color me shocked. Tiger saying, good road to the Sharks to take Kako for a 3rd round pick. How many 3rd round picks do we have left?
We don't have any, I think, until like at least 20.
Well, get rid of them. Get rid of them all. I don't know.
We don't need them.
Everything must go. You got a 3rd round pick to sell. Yeah,
I like Barclay Goodrow, but man, Barclay Goodrow at almost $4 million still breaks my brain.
For full disclosure, the Sharks only have
will get you that.
The Sharks only have Tampa's 3rd round pick in this year's draft. The next 85. 3 years.
Great, lovely.
Well, yeah, because we send them all because we had to make we had to make Tomas Hertl more palatable for Vegas.
Right. And yeah, like Tiger saying, that's the joke. So.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Oh, fun. Let's move over to the West, where Edmonton and that mega goaltender Stuart Skinner stunned the Dallas Stars in 6 games here. I mean, Ian, wow.
Listen, I don't know what it is with me and the Dallas Stars, right? Dallas, anytime I ever pick them to win anything, anytime I've ever picked them to win a series, they always burn me. And I thought this time for sure, after all the trouble that the Oilers had with the Canucks, who maybe it's the Canucks that I'm not giving enough respect here at this point. And yeah, so I'm like, okay, it's Edmonton. Edmonton struggled way too much against the Canucks. Dallas is the deepest team in the playoffs. This is Dallas in a walk. I said Dallas in 5. Yeah, that didn't happen. And
spoiled milk.
I don't know what I like, and I can't even explain it. It's just, the thing is, like, Dallas, I find like whenever they get in trouble is when their offense dries up, and man, their offense dried up against Edmonton. They didn't lose because of me. I mean, maybe they did. Maybe if getting mad at me makes you feel better about Joe Pavelski's career probably being done,
Oh, we're getting to that.
We'll
Don't
get
don't.
there.
then that's fine. Yeah, I will take that hate.
Oh, jeez.
Oh,
No,
Lord.
I don't know. Like I don't. I think Chris Tanev getting hurt, obviously that hurt them because I think he had been such a piece for them in this playoffs. But man, like Jake Ottinger isn't good. I mean, there's just it's all there. What else is there to say? I mean, in a game where you are fighting to stay alive, you let in 2 goals on 10 shots.
Yeah, and that's a record too for fewest shots in a conference final clinching game.
Yeah, and I like it, and it's unfortunate, right? Because I think you talk about a team like the Rangers who squandered good goaltending. I feel like Dallas is a team and look at Jake Ottinger has time to turn this around. I don't think he had a really good season, but I look at them. I look at teams like Dallas. I look at teams like Colorado, and you're like, your window is going to be wasted on a shit goalie.
Oh, yeah.
And I just that's my fear with Dallas is like because I think Dallas is like they're going to be good for a long time. When you look at the pieces, like, yeah, they've got guys like Joe Pavelski's probably going to retire. We don't know yet, but like you look at that team and you look at how young that team is and the pieces they have, that team is going to be good forever. And I just hope that Jake Ottinger can find some of that magic he had against in that series where they lost to the Flames.
Yeah. Sorry, Puckguy, do you want to go?
Yeah, Christian Ruiz in the chat. Dallas hates Ian and he hates puppies and otters, apparently.
Oh my god.
Wow.
I
feel for Logan Seal later in the Discord chat.
Yeah, no, sorry, Logan.
But go ahead, Jules.
No, I mean, I thought Dallas was gonna mop the floor with Edmonton, but like I feel like at some point we gotta give some respect to Edmonton.
I agree. Yeah.
Like
Yes.
at some point I can't keep shitting on them like I do shit on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like so here's the thing. This is the coach Chris Knobloch came in when the Edmonton Oilers were like 5-12-1 after William Eklund stripped Connor McDavid from the puck during the power play and like got on a breakaway. And yes, I just made it about the Sharks. I don't care.
Heck
but
yeah.
That was like their lowest point of the season. And then he comes in, they go in this like 16 game heater, then they go in this like 8 game heater. And like just props to Chris Knobloch for like completely changing, it feels like, the Oilers season. And I know they should have not fired Woodcroft. I think they needed a coaching change, whatever. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But I think it's amazing where the Oilers have come from like fucking being in the conversation to land Cole Yzerman or Mac Daddy to being in like the Stanley Cup final and 4 wins away from the cup. So I think at some point I'm going to have to give credit to the Oilers and to Stuart Skinner. Hi, puppy.
That's a cat.
Oh. Anyways,
I was trying to be incognito with my Sharky dog coming through.
You know the thing, you know what, and I'm glad you brought up Chris Knobloch because that's something like I think I have to reevaluate at this point because for a long time my take on Chris Knobloch was like he came in and oh my god he started getting saves, right? Because I think it's kind of like I still think it's kind of criminal what happened to Jay Woodcroft, but now I mean he's in the Stanley Cup final. And now you're kind of like, well, maybe there's something there, you know, because I didn't really give much like, and maybe, you know, it's not fair of me to not give credit, but I've just thought like, you know, this is a situation where like Jay Woodcroft, like that team couldn't buy a save before he got fired.
Look
right?
at their
And
penalty kill. Like it sucked when Jay was there, like lovingly, but I think it was bottom half in the league. And now they're on a 27 penalty kill streak. Like at some point, I just want to give props where it's doing like, I agree. The Oilers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like at that point, it like once after what they showed, what they can do to Dallas and like winning a 2-1 game, which if you told me they would have won a 2-1 game versus Dallas, I would have laughed at you and called you an idiot. But like McDavid and Draisaitl are the 2 best players on the planet right now. McDavid put on an unreal goal. Like we have to give some props at this point to the Oilers.
I agree. I think that they're a team that probably doesn't get enough respect for things that are, and I think they don't get a lot of respect for things that aren't true anymore. But people like sometimes you get a narrative about a team and it kind of just never goes away.
Right.
Yeah. For sure.
Like this team defensively is so much better than it's ever been. And obviously, like Ekholm and Bouchard are a huge part of that. But
Kulak, yeah.
even as the series went on, like Darnell Nurse got a lot better too. Like I think he started the season started this series pretty bad, and there was a lot of, I think, justifiable complaints about him. But I thought even as the series, like he got better as the series went. Yeah, man. I mean, I think a guy like in Chris Knobloch, who I just never really gave much props to, because I'm just like, oh, congratulations, you came in and then a goalie learned how to make a save. Congratulations. Because like this is a team this is a team, when you look at it and you look at the talent on it, like this is where they should be. This is where they should have been sooner than this, probably.
Probably. And sorry, go.
No, that's okay. So I mean, like, I think you're right. Like, I think the Edmonton Oilers have been suffering a lot of disrespect in these playoffs, and some of it's deserved, man. Because like again, like that series against Vancouver, you're like, how is this team anything?
Yeah,
and then they come and do that to Dallas, and like Dallas, who was again like the deepest team in the playoffs, even though I think they're frauds.
Also, I do want to give props to McDavid. He did stand up for Nurse during a press conference, and I think after that, Nurse started to turn it back on again. So like McDavid's showing why he's the captain and why he's like the best player on earth right now. And I know McDavid has his moments, but like he might drag the Oilers to win the cup this year. So, Draisaitl, future Shark, also. Anyways,
right? Yes. I mean, I think if Edmonton
Sorry,
won,
I had to.
I know. I feel like if Edmonton won, at least like at that point, doesn't that conversation stop? Thank fucking God.
But Marco Sturm. But this is a conversation for later.
Hang on.
Yeah.
You guys are jumping up.
I know.
We know.
My goodness.
I'm picking fights with other podcasts. Let me do it.
Oh my goodness.
You're picking fights with the young one on the pod. That's not fair.
Boy. I will say this. It seemed like it was getting feisty, especially after game 5. Just ask PDB in one of his classic comments here.
You're praising the Oilers. Did you not think it was kind of a lifeless second period for your team after falling behind and just kind of putting no pressure on them at all?
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's always things you can do better. I'm not, you can sit here and question our character if you want. You haven't been around all year. I haven't seen you here all year. So, yeah, well, you are. That's what you're doing. So, I'm not going to do it. You go ahead and write whatever the you want.
Okay. Now,
yeah, and it's and Tiger pointing out in the chat that PDB did apologize to that journalist.
Yeah, that was
a little bit.
Yeah, that was Tim Kalishaw. If you ever seen like Around the Horn, he was with the Dallas Morning News on there, and yeah, he did apologize for that. But when things do get frustrating, and I do remember like after Game 4 against Vegas in 2019, he was frustrated. I think I forget if it was with Pashelka or Kurz at the time. It was crunch. You can sense that, but the big elephant in the room, and was that it for Joe Pavelski?
Wyatt Johnson was in tears when the media addressed this possibility of that being Pabst. Like Pabst has done so much for that young core. Like I know we talk about how
and Wyatt Johnson like lives with Pavelski.
Yeah, Wyatt Johnson lives with.
I don't know if he's still
Pavelski
living there, but yeah. I know like Pavelski's the one that had him living with them. So
like, yeah, that's gonna. I think Pavs had a rough playoffs. I'm just gonna put it out there, but yeah, I don't know. It feels like the writing's a little on the wall.
I feel like so. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing with Pavelski, right? Like, I like Pavelski. I think there's a big misconception, I think, among this audience that for some reason I don't like Pavelski. Just because like every time like everyone's like, oh, but if Joe Pavelski was still, and it's been 4 years, shut the fuck up already, right? So I think people like there's a misconception that I don't like Joe. I love Joe Pavelski. I hate the legend of Joe Pavelski a little bit because I think it's a little bit overblown, and like there's a lot of things like if Joe Pavelski was still here, we'd still be in the playoffs and everything would be fine. No, we
How
wouldn't.
dare you upset
We'd
molasses?
be a shit
how
team
dare
with
you.
Joe Pavelski. That's what the Sharks would be right now. They'd be a shit team with Joe Pavelski. So that being said, right, like I think that it's unfortunate, but like Father Time's undefeated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it. I think he's had a hell of a career. I think he's I can't imagine him not being in the Hall of Fame. He's got to be one of the highest scoring American players to ever play the game. So I think there's hardware there. He's got Olympic medals. He doesn't have a Stanley Cup, but I still think like just point production and for what he's done over his career, I think he should be an easy first ballot Hall of Famer in my opinion. And how if he does decide to call it a career, and I mean that's his choice. I'm not like I agree with Jules. I don't think he had a very good playoff this year, and I think that again, Father Time's undefeated, and I think unfortunately for Pavelski, Father Time is starting to show a little bit.
Right.
And if that's the end of a career, I mean it's what a career, right? I mean it's sad to see a guy like that hang them up, but at the same time, I mean what a fucking career.
Jules, go ahead, and I have my comments afterwards.
No, I mean, like kind of what Ian said. Like, I think he's a Hall of Famer for sure. I don't think it's really in question. And like he's a great guy. Like he's part of the reason I got into hockey. Like he was one of the first players I knew from the Sharks. To be fair, when I was a kid, I thought all of the hockey players were like robots and not actual humans. So like, but like he was one of the first like guys I followed from the Sharks. So like what a great career. And if he hangs up the skates, I mean, well deserved, and hopefully the Sharks retire his number after Jumbo here.
Oh, fascinating.
That is a summer content conversation for later on that one. But I gotta say that a little bit of wishful thinking here was like, come back for one last year, get the 500 goals. I guess you have to bring Wyatt Johnston with you. We'll send 14th overall to Dallas. I mean,
yeah, 14th overall. Dallas fans, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, Jesus, he's just signed as a free agent,
right? Well, no, I'm saying you give him that, and you get Wyatt
overall.
Johnston.
You can
Oh
draft.
yeah, you're saying the 14th. Well, yeah, I mean, they'd be. Wow.
14th overall, and let's be honest, the 2027 third round pick.
We don't have that. We have the 2028 third round pick.
2028 third round pick.
The things you would have to give Dallas to get Wyatt Johnson. I mean,
Macklin. No, I'm joking.
No.
How things you would have to give up.
Mario Ferraro.
Never gonna let you down. Sorry.
This is not a HF boards. This is I give you all my worst things and I take your best thing trade. We're not doing that.
Damn
That's
it.
Unfortunate. God damn it. Ian.
That's too bad. All right.
Yeah. So Pavelski, for those that don't know, Pavelski is a free agent as of July 1st. Obviously, he could extend for another year. Obviously, before that, if he does decide to hang him up. It's interesting, right? Because I don't know, like. The one thing that I was told is that the second that you think about retirement, you're retired. So I don't know, like, so I'm curious if it's something that if it's something that he gave thought to going into this playoff series or not. And it'll be interesting to get an answer because, like, obviously we didn't really get an answer at that game, but I think it's like one of those things where it's like once you start even thinking about retirement, you're probably done.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the guy had.
And I've heard that like a few people have said that. I think I'm trying to remember players that have said that. I think Kevin Bieksa said that at some point. Someone else did too, and they basically said, "Yeah, the second you think about retirement, you're done."
Yeah.
But I think I know this is kind of wishful thinking, but if if Pavs reaches open market and is like, not sure if he wants to retire or not or whatnot, and Greer wants to give him a call and say, hey, we have two young probable centers coming over. Centers coming over.
Ottawa.
We have two young centers coming over, want to come help mentor them or whatnot. Greer should absolutely be all over that because I know Pavs had a rough playoffs, but like I'd love Celebrini and Smith to learn from a guy.
So here's the thing, right? I don't think people realize how much. Like, I think Pavelski, like, in the media handled it fine, but I don't think, and I don't know anything, but just from reports and stuff, I don't think Joe Pavelski was super thrilled with the way that he was
Treated.
He wasn't traded, he just wasn't signed, right? Like,
Well, yeah, treated. Yeah.
yeah, like I don't think he was super happy with the way his time in San Jose ended. Now, again, I don't know Joe Pavelski, and it is different management now, but I think people want to marry him back to the Sharks, and I don't know if it's that simple.
Right. And that's the tough part. I think how everything went down might have left a bitter taste in his mouth. And let's be honest, he moved his whole family out of San Jose to Dallas. And now that he's kind of doing the Kelly Rudy thing with Patrick Marleau, with Wyatt Johnston.
Yeah.
Does he want to move his family around again before he moves his family back to Wisconsin, per se? So
yeah, and it's, you know what, and for like, and to put a bow on like Joe Pavelski leaving, like obviously, like the Sharks looked at him, they looked at age, they looked at the other players they had, and they said, okay, we'll look at age, right? And I think that it's probably the one case where that happens and it actually blows up in your face.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I feel like more often than not, that guy gets signed and then he regresses to hell. And like Joe Pavelski is like the exception to that rule. But it's going to be like, I'm curious to see what happens next time, you know, a guy that, I mean, obviously it doesn't matter right now for the Sharks and the situation they're in because old loaded contracts, they just want to go away at this point. But it's going to be interesting to see how, players like that get handled in the future because of just how bad that did come back to kind of bite the Sharks, right?
So you're telling me Marc-Edouard Vlasic is going to become a Vezina Trophy candidate next season? I'm joking.
Oh my God.
A Norris, maybe, not a Vezina.
Oh my bad. Sorry, Norris.
Right. Jerry in the super chat, thank you for the great coverage as usual. We appreciate you, Jerry. Tiger, I'm gonna save yours till when we get to that point.
Oh, no. Tiger,
don't go for the bait yet. Come on now. We got to talk about the 2024 Stanley Cup final between your Western Conference champion Edmonton Oilers and the Eastern Conference champion Florida Panthers. Ian, I'll start with you. Tell me why Jonah Vajovic might hold up the cup.
Oh, wow. I'm so torn in this series because there's like at this point, right? Like there's things that are obviously frustrating, right? If the Florida Panthers win, then the Sharks are like, and that like when the Teal in the league expanded by 5 in the early 90s, it'll be the Sharks and the Senators that are the ones that just so far haven't been able to get it done. And it'll, you know, strokes off another team in that list. But I like this Panthers team, man. I really like this Panthers team. I bandwagoned them in the playoffs last year. I bandwagoned them this year. I like this team. I think they're a nasty, snarly team. I think that the one thing that Edmonton didn't have to deal with a lot in this Dallas series was it wasn't really a nasty series. Like it was a tight series, but it wasn't nasty. Like Edmonton didn't have to deal with a lot of, you know, you didn't have a lot of like post whistle nonsense and stuff in the Dallas Edmonton series. That's not going to be the case in this one. This Panthers team is a nasty team that I think is going to do all kinds of things to try and get under players' skin. I think that I think they're going to have Evander Kane doing all kinds of dumb shit in this series.
If he's healthy.
Yeah, I think that he's gonna be a guy who likes to play like that, right? Like I think he's a guy who likes to play like a guy like Kachuk does, who they're both gonna try and get in each other's skin. I think this is gonna be a nasty series. I think it's gonna be fun as hell, but I think it's gonna be nasty. I've been on the Panthers bandwagon since as soon as the first round was over. I'm like, yeah, this is the team that's going to win. I'm sticking with my guns. I think the Florida Panthers are going to be one, but man, like it is hard to go against Edmonton after what they just did to Dallas. It's hard to go against Connor McDavid, who I think is at the peak of his power right now. I think he's been great. Leon Draisaitl's been great. The problem is I don't trust Stuart Skinner. Like, yes, Stuart Skinner did do well against Dallas, but like, you know, Jake Ottinger had done really well up until they faced Edmonton, and then look what happened, right? Like, he's just a goalie I don't trust. But I think up here for like, just as far as like Canada goes, like I kind of want Edmonton to win just to watch Toronto implode into the earth.
Well, that'll be because of Zach Hyman also. Don't forget.
Oh, no kidding. That
Like,
is
I
true.
just want it, like, because you know, I mean, like if Edmonton wins after, you know, after all that, and then like Toronto's still like can't
Guys,
get
I
out of
don't
the
think
first
Ian
round,
hates
can't get out of the
puppies. I
second
think
round.
Ian hates Toronto.
Everyone in Canada hates Toronto. other
That's
than
true. That's
Leafs
true.
fans.
That's true.
I kind of, you know, there's a part of me like, some robots just want to watch the world burn, man, and that is this robot here. I think that it's going to be Florida. I think that Florida is the better overall team. But if it's not, I'm happy either way.
Gotcha. Jules, tell me why Evander Kane and Corey Perry, two notable players that have haunted Sharks fans for several years, are going to win the Stanley Cup and bring smiles to an angry Canadian robot and frustration to the likes of Leafs fans, including Steve Dangle, that they weren't the one Canadian team to bring the cup back.
So okay, I don't know. I've been deliberating this since last night on Discord, where I was like, I kind of want to pick Edmonton, but I know Edmonton has very large question marks, and I'm aware of that. But I can't bring myself right now to go against Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, so that's where I'm kind of leaning towards picking Edmonton. But then you have Florida, who I'm genuinely convinced Barkov is a fucking monster from like a different universe. Like, that guy is ridiculous at shutting down opponents. And I think he might be one of the very few people who can actually shut down McDavid and Draisaitl.
It's a good shout.
Like, if there's any shutdown centers out there, I think Barkov might be the only guy to be able to do that. So, and I just love Matthew Tkachuk. I'm glad he's no longer in the Pacific Division. Have fun up terrorizing the East as you are doing right now. But I think I'm gonna go Panthers in 7. As much as I would love Edmonton to hold the cup, the Panthers are just they're on a different
I
level.
didn't give games. 6.
6. So you're saying Panthers in 6?
Yes.
And you're saying Panthers in
Can
7?
Can I say this? One of Panthers or the Oilers will win the cup, and I'm not sure. I'm joking. Panthers in 7.
Wow, way to
Well, go on a limb there. put that prop bet in at insert.
Yeah,
bet
no. If you guys want my
talking,
take, one of the Panthers or Oilers will win the 2024 Stanley Cup. No, I'm joking.
Man,
But
that is.
no, I think the Panthers at the end of the day will probably win. But don't sleep on the Oilers. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a great series. Like, I'm
so
really excited about this series. I think it's going to be one of, I think, the better cup finals that we've watched in a long time.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Hey, it's not Vegas, so we're good
Yes.
Sharks fans.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jules. I say Panthers in 6. I hate to have it happen on Canadian soil. That makes it even worse. But I think there's just a little bit of an edge. And Ian, you're right. If Stuart Skinner decides to show up like Jake
I don't
Ottinger
trust
again,
him, man. Like, I just don't trust him enough to be like, if I could even trust that, like, if I could trust Stuart Skinner, then I think that would be the only thing that would make me reconsider my choice. But like Bobrovsky versus Skinner, it's not even a contest.
I mean, but if he turns into Jack Campbell or Koskinen or whoever, former goalies, that's trouble. But if he turns into Brent Scrivens against the Sharks, like a dozen years ago or so, watch out, Florida.
I think and the thing with Florida, right? This is a team that was there last year. They lost last year, right? And I think going through that experience and getting back, I think that helps them, right? another one of the reasons too. It's just like they've been there. They've already been through the heartbreak of losing. They know what it takes to win now. Like a lot of teams, I think a lot of great teams, like, that have gone through that experience and then they've turned it around. I mean, at one point in time, the Edmonton Oilers in the 80s, that's what happened to them, right? They lost to the Islanders. They saw what they had to do to get over the hump, and then they went on. I mean, and that team was ridiculous,
stacked.
But that was a good Islanders team too. So, yeah, I don't know. That's why I give the edge, man. Like I said, if Edmonton won, would I be upset? No, I don't really care at this point, right? Like I just want to watch hockey, and then I'm going to be really sad when there's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I've had like hockey on every night for like most of the playoffs, and I don't know what I'm going to do this week. And then when we get a Stanley Cup and it's like, oh, there's no hockey on. Fuck.
Hey, don't worry. If this series goes 7, I feel for
We'll have
the
a
team
3-day
execs.
break before the draft.
If that, you're like, okay, what
Yeah.
do you just, you have your quick parade the next morning and then head down to Vegas to celebrate and then do the NHL awards and then the NHL draft? I mean,
Maybe. Amanda asking, does it bother me that Evander Kane has a chance to win the cup? No, I don't really care, man. Like when it comes to Evander Kane, I don't care. Like, I'm glad he's gone. I'm glad he's not on my team. I think if you're like, oh man, Evander Kane's going to be on the cup, like Evander Kane has 8 points these playoffs.
He's not been good.
Like,
he's also probably injured, to be fair. But
yeah, maybe. But you know what? Like, I don't think Evander Kane's ever really had a good playoff performance. Remember, like when he was here, and we were all convinced Evander Kane had some nagging injury, and he's like, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's a big playoff performer guy. I don't know, man. Like, if he wins, like, whatever. I don't really care. I'm glad he's not on this team. I'm glad that I don't have to cover him anymore. It's just like honestly, that's it. Like, I don't have it super out for the guy. I just don't care.
Yeah, I don't know. The series is hard to predict for so many reasons, because if Stuart Skinner gets hot, like, sorry, Panthers.
Any goalie gets hot, right? I mean, that's hockey.
If any goal, well, yeah, I'm saying if not Vasi, Jesus Christ, Tampa. If Bobrovsky turns into a pumpkin,
right?
I just don't.
McDavid's gonna eat his food and have like dessert.
both goaltenders, have had their hiccups in the past. That hasn't happened too much this year for Bobrovsky, but I mean, you just search Jay Onright Bobrovsky on YouTube, and you can just easily see how he's turned into a pumpkin like that.
But that hasn't happened in so long.
That's my point.
When has that happened?
That's my point.
I'm just saying,
I think Columbus.
Like, if anyone turns into a pumpkin.
Okay, yeah, but I mean, how long ago was that?
2019.
Like, he's been like, there's been no sign of that. Like, I don't know. I get what you're saying. I think if you're an Edmonton fan and that's what you're reaching for.
Oh, well, yeah, you're drawing straws here.
But at the same time, which goaltender would you have picked in last year's Stanley Cup? Adin Hill or Bobrovsky? And I'm sure 99 out of 100 would say Bobrovsky.
Sure. But I don't think he's the reason they lost that cup.
Oh, no, not at all.
No.
Like, Vegas was just better. Like, that wasn't because Bobrovsky turned into a pumpkin. Just Vegas was just better.
Right. Patrick, Gen X, good to see you, bud. Oops, did I fall on your goalie? Oh, no, I fell on your goalie again. Help, I fell on. I can't get out.
Oh, should we talk about Corey Perry making history? Being like, what was the stat? Like the 5th time, like he made history being like
fourth out of 5.
4th out of 5 times in the Eastern Conference Final, and the most player to reach it with any given team, because he's reached it with Tampa, Ducks.
Yeah, it's
Montreal,
Dallas,
insanity.
No, Montreal. Yeah,
so five teams,
and then this one
Cup final. That's crazy, and congrats to him. He's got a good agent. So, but the craziness in do I have this schedule on here or not? I know we have it scrolling down, but it is a very interesting schedule, and a lot of people have been, why are we having an extra day? Well, considering this is the furthest Stanley Cup final we've ever had, those extra days off in between games, especially when we get into 4, 5, 6, and 7.
I think it's the travel is where the extra days are coming in, right?
Right, and that's going to be huge to have. I'm pulling it up right about now. Once it loads up, maybe Bueller, there it goes. But I mean, to have that, game 1, will be Saturday at 8 p.m. and then game 2 in Florida, and then you're going back and forth. Thank you, Ian.
Yep.
And then you're going to have 2 days off between going from essentially South Florida to Northern Alberta for 2 games, and then you're bouncing back and forth. I mean, it's just a crazy schedule, and it's going to be a tough one too. So
Yeah.
I'm sure there's probably some sense of saying of try to get it done early.
Yeah.
To finish up early. If the team can finish off in 4 or 5, they would love
late,
that.
though, man. If that goes 7 June 24th, my God.
Well,
what are we doing, NHL?
Well, the problem is that the NHL has ESPN as a sponsor or as a partner.
I heard that on 30 Thoughts. And so with the baseball or whatever, they have to start 2 weeks later than they normally, or a week later than normally would.
Right. So that throws it off a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. And it's a rematch of Matthew Tkachuk taking on the Oilers. You also look at Florida versus Alberta. Last time we saw that was
Flames.
04.
I think if you're a Flames fan, you're probably really angry if the Edmonton Oilers win 2-way.
Oh my God.
I think you're angry in both scenarios. This is a lose-lose for Flames
Yeah.
fans.
I mean, you see Tkachuk or the Oilers win the cup.
I'm so sorry, Flames fans. It's okay.
Yeah, like this has got to be real. Like this is, you're right. Like this has got to be like a real kick in the balls either way.
It's okay.
Yeah,
You'll get Teach again in the draft. It's all good. You wait for Teach.
Want to say also hi to Vapor, a Rangers fan who's picking the Cats in 5. And
there we go. Hello.
Good to see you here. And a Sabres fan, Real Deal Prime. Good to see you as well.
I'm jealous of your blue line Sabres. There you go.
Last 5 Stanley Cup champions were top 5 in defending transition. Edmonton and Florida fall under that category, so we'll make it the last 6 champions. And by the way, wait a minute, I gotta put that up. You have Rick Jenneret as your avatar. I can only say you can add 1 more to the population of Pominville.
Oh my God,
Jesus Christ!
So thank you for that. Appreciate it. All right, so we go from Stanley Cup final to a championship that ended last night, and I wish there was we can get these games not to be on at the same time, but the Memorial Cup final was a crazy game last night.
Yeah,
with Saginaw scoring the winning goal with 17 seconds, with Jules and I were like ready to do the Butchie Grass overtime challenge to pick Casper Haltonen. Hell yeah!
Oh yeah, we were. Yeah. No, we were.
But Casper Haltonen from the London Knights, Sharks property, had himself a nice tournament. 4 goals. He was even like the first team Memorial Cup in there.
What I appreciate is
what a run.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead. You're good.
I mean, what a run for London. I really thought London was gonna win this thing, and I hate London. It was like you want to talk about like the Calgary Flames fans having the worst possible Stanley Cup final. This is it for me as a Greyhounds fan. Like everyone hates London. If you're not a London fan, you hate London. If you're an O fan, and then the Sioux and Saginaw absolutely despise each other. Obviously, congratulations to Saginaw, first U.S.-based team to win the Memorial Cup from the OHL, which I think is really cool, especially and kind of a crazy stat when you consider some of the American teams that have been in the OHL. Like back in the day, Detroit had some really good teams when they had an OHL team. The Connor McDavid Erie Otters were a stacked monster. I'm surprised, and that I think it's crazy that they didn't have more success, considering they had McDavid and Dylan Strome and Alex DeBrincat. It was stupid. They were fun to watch though. But yeah, so I mean, congratulations to Saginaw. Obviously, an unfortunate end for London, who kind of just laid waste to everything they played against. A lot of people are kind of salty because the host team won again, and obviously, like for those that don't understand how the Memorial Cup works, here's a quick primer. You have 3 teams. They are the winners of the Western Hockey League, the Ontario Hockey League, and the Quebec Major Junior or Maritime Junior Hockey League as it is now. And then you have the host city who gets the team. Now, in order to be the host city, your team obviously has to be good. Saginaw was good. Saginaw, unfortunately for them, played in the Western Conference of the Ontario Hockey League is much better than the Eastern Conference, and I think the final between for those that were paying attention, the final between London and Oshawa really bore that out, where it was every game was like, I think
Like
Oshawa
9-1.
allowed like 9
Yeah.
goals a
Yeah, it was
game
something
for like
ridiculous like that.
something ridiculous like that, right? So Saginaw was in the conference finals with the London Knights, and they took London to 6 games, and then they were eliminated. So it's not a situation like in Quebec a couple years ago where the team, like, there was a team that I can't remember who it was. I think it was the Sea Dogs maybe, and they got bounced in the first round of the Q playoffs, and then so they sat around and did nothing for the rest of the time, and then went into the Memorial Cup and ended up winning it all. I don't think this is a situation. I see people that are kind of getting a little annoyed, like, oh, well, you know, if the host team can just get bounced early and still win, like, does it really matter? I think that in a situation like the Memorial Cup, where it's a one game winner take all situation, like it's not a series, right? It's a one game winner take all thing. And I think those always favor the upset. So yeah. I think if you played that again, if you played that a best of 3, a best of 7, best of 5, like, I think London probably wins. But you know what? It's the Memorial Cup. It's one game, and Saginaw won. So congratulations to Saginaw for sure.
Yeah, let me put it this way. Even though Saginaw won, our boy Casper Halton, who's going to wear a terrific number when he gets to San Jose, we're just going to take a moment and just enjoy just a moment of his awesomeness here.
He's 12, by the way, for anyone who doesn't follow.
Right. He's number 12. I'm sure this video is rendering so great, but I mean, the toe drag on this goal was just
junior hockey.
Oh, he needs to take a shower because that was filthy.
Yeah, no, the defense isn't great here. Would just like to point that out. But no, what I appreciate with Halton is he's starting to score goals in other manners. It's not just all on like the power play specialist where he's standing in his like OV position and just like clapping one timers on like junior goaltenders who suck. Not all of them suck. Like, don't take that the wrong way. Just like they're not great. So I appreciate Halton has really started to round out his game. And I know people are saying he's AHL eligible. I kind of want to keep him in juniors just for one more year. Let him be the guy. I think
London's still going to be good next year.
Yeah, so let him be the guy with London.
Although here's the thing. Here's the one thing, though. I think with a guy like him, the concern that I would have with a guy like Casper Halton and why I kind of want him to get into pro hockey a little bit sooner is because the one thing with him, and I think you're going to hear this a lot when people talk about Casper Halton, is shot selection. And I'm not saying his shot selection is bad, but your slot selection can be a lot more basic when you play in a league like junior hockey, where the goaltending isn't fantastic. The defense is fine. You know, I want to see him kind of start maturing his game at a higher level, just so he can start working on a shot selection. Because I think that was something that I think like. And I'm not saying Casper Halton is Timo Meier, but Timo Meier had a very similar issue coming to play pro hockey, where he was just so used to just blasting the pucks through goalies that he didn't really think about where he was putting the puck. And then pucks stopped going in the net, because when you're playing in the AHL or the NHL, you can't blast pucks through an NHL goalie, and you can't blast pucks through most AHL goalies. So I think for him, if he was able, like if the Sharks do bring him to the Barracuda, I think it would make the Barracuda interesting next year. But more importantly, I think that he could start working on his shot selection, which I think is something that I would have a concern the longer he spends in junior.
No, and that's valid. I'm glad we're not seeing him like, you know, just blasting shots from the power play, because that was a legitimate concern with Halton going in like a few weeks into the season. But yeah, no, he's hopefully he pans out. I think the Sharks that 2023 draft is looking quite well for the Sharks at the moment.
Right. Right. I'm really excited for Casper Halton, and I think he's going to be a great addition, whether he starts with the Sharks or he starts with the AHL. Oh, wait. AHL, that means he'll be playing with the Barracuda? What? What are you talking about, the Barracuda? What? Jules, you mentioned
No.
this to me today, but another player that played in the Memorial Cup final is now a member in, well, not really Teal, I guess Steel and Black and White.
John McCarthy. He's a member. No, I'm joking.
These Rugrats. No. And correct me if I'm wrong. Am I saying Braden or Braden Hache?
I believe
Hache.
so. Hache, yeah.
Yeah.
He was a 7th round pick from the Panthers in 2021. I don't believe they gave him an offer, so he became a free agent. 21-year-old left shot D, 65 games played, 9 goals, 13 assists, was Saginaw's captain as they won the Memorial Cup. He is a personality. He is very funny. I would go watch one of his interviews. I couldn't find a lot on this guy. From what I heard, it's a good signing. Greer's just basically strapping off the defense Doug Wilson brought in and saying, hey, we're just going to shoot darts and see what happens. And I don't mind that. The CUDA needs some help with defensively, I think. And they're going to be a very young blue line next year. It's actually a little concerning. I'm not going to lie. But whenever you can pick up a left shot D, why not?
Yeah, I think again, it's not super this isn't like, oh my God, they got the guy, right? Like this is an AHL contract.
Right. Yeah.
But I think for the Barracuda, I think it's fine, right? I think it's, these are the kind of guys that generally, this guy gets a chance after winning a Memorial Cup to continue playing hockey professionally. And we'll see how he adjusts to the faster game, and we'll see how it works. But I think you could throw darts in a lot worse places.
Absolutely. And a guy who just captained a team to the Memorial Cup, played, from what I heard, decently well. Not a bad signing by Joe Will, who I think is a little fighting for his job down there in the CUDA. So, yeah.
I mean, just look at the expression on his face. That's just let's go.
He was pointing at his hat, I think, to the London crowd after Saginaw won. So he's definitely a character. Bring some winning culture to the CUDA. He's won. He's proven he can win. Why not take a shot? Don't mind it.
Molasses saying Nathan Todd for CUDA captain.
That might actually happen. So
no, you don't want that. The captain's the first guy out in this team.
Oh, true.
That's very true.
Good. We no longer have the Nathan Todd memes. I'm sorry. No, I'm joking.
So that gets us going to that. I guess we should we go Sharks or should we stay with pro hockey really quick? Just in general.
You want to talk about the 3-on-3 thing?
Yeah, let's talk. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about.
No one knows anything, but
no one knows anything.
No one knows anything, but let's talk about it. Major League Hockey. Yes, no, it's not your self-created fantasy hockey league that looks like it's a ripoff of the KHL logo. So let's give credit to Steve Dangle, who came out with this a little maybe prematurely early, but the website is now live. It's going to be it's planning to be a 16-team North American league where they will play 3-on-3 hockey all the time. The teams will have of a $30 million salary cap, $100,000 victory bonus for each team. They are working or has targeted franchises, as the website would say, 16 franchises in New York, California, British Columbia, Saskatchewan, Quebec, Minnesota, Arizona, Missouri, Nebraska, New England, Oklahoma.
That is a
please
lot.
Come on. Let's name the Omahas in native Peyton Manning. Ontario, Texas, Florida, you name it. And they'll play 2 24-minute games with more exclusively on Friday and Saturday nights. I mean, you'll probably have 12 skaters, 2 goalies. I guess they're trying to get 3 marquee players. It'd be interesting to see how this all turns out, and there's of course some question as where the money's coming from. Is this sort of like live golf or whatnot? But what do you think of the idea of 3-on-3 all the time? And I don't want to say gives the NHL a run for its money, but
no, see, and I think that's right there. That is the problem. that's exactly what you said right now. Like, this is,
see how I get Ian going?
Yeah,
So,
you really do. Fuck. Jesus.
as like its own thing. It's fine, right? I think it's cool. Like, I think it's something that, like, if it was like something that was like I could go see, I'd probably go check it out, right?
right.
Is this going to replace my love of the NHL? No. Like, and I think as its own thing, I think it's cool and whatever. If it allows more guys to play pro hockey and make money playing pro hockey, then I think that's fantastic, right? But I don't know who this is for, like, player wise, like, because are you going to go to this league if you are still in the, if you're still trying to find, like, are you gonna be like, I could sign this contract with this AHL team, or I can go play this 3-on-3 thing. Like, you're going to take the AHL contract, right? Like, to try and stay in that possible road to the NHL bubble.
Yeah, that's my question. Where are, like, can NCAA players, like, is that a route like prospects now can take where they can just, go play in the MHL and then get drafted from there, if that makes sense? Like, my question is what players are going to be playing? But if we can get more hockey, I'm always down for more hockey. Like, it's not going to take away my love for, like Ian said, the NHL or anything. I love the Sharks. So my question is, where are the players coming from?
Yeah, I think because a lot of people like make the obvious comparison is live golf, right? Which is obviously in competition with the PGA. And I think that's probably why I think the way people look at that is flawed. Because I don't think this is like, I mean, maybe they think that they're competition for the NHL, but they're not, right? Like, I think it works if it'll work if it's its own thing. I think if you start trying to be like, oh, well, this is, like, I think it's kind of similar to the PWHL, right?
Yeah.
Like, it works because it's its own thing. It's not working because it's competition for the NHL. It's not competition for it. Works because it's its own thing. I think this could work because it's its own thing. I think the second people stop like, if they, people are like, oh, well, this is competition for it's not like it's not like, it's not going to be competition for the NHL at all. And I think that's where the live golf comparison kind of falls flat, because this isn't going to be competition for anything. It's going to be maybe competition for guys that would normally go play youth sports, or maybe you take a guy that may have signed a contract in the ECHL instead. That's my opinion.
Right. And I remember, if I remember correctly, RHI, Roller Hockey International, and I don't know if it's going to be a winter or summer league, but I remember Roller Hockey International had I think at least 24 teams in its heyday, of just a bunch of ECHL guys and everything.
Yeah,
where they got
super
noticed.
fun because it was
oh my god,
thing.
Loved it. And they had teams in San Jose, Oakland, and Sacramento up here in Northern California. And I wonder if it's going to be kind of like a showcase league like that, where a guy like, and I remember this popping out of my head, Jose Charbonneau played for Tiger Williams's Vancouver Voodoo, who just happened to also be his agent, and he got a deal with the Vancouver Canucks a year later. So
I mean, maybe
an idea to where they can showcase themselves and maybe get some a better deal.
I don't think, like, I don't know. I think that'll be the interesting thing is, will this be a path for someone to get back to pro hockey? I think that would be interesting to see. I'm not sold that it would be, but like you said, like using Road Hockey International is a great example of where, you did have that story. I don't know, man.
Could it be like, and the one guy that just popped in my head, could it be like a guy like Ryan Merkley could maybe resurrect his pro career
maybe
in North America? It's something like that. Like the guys that are in the KHL, maybe they can come back into North America to play or whatnot. Justin Aramian, bring back pro beach hockey. I remember those ramps back in the late 90s behind the net. I mean, my goodness, Gretzky's office was like on a whole thing.
Maybe the Teal USA gets a team in the 3v3 hockey league. We do have
there-
a team on Cap Friendly, so there you
Yes,
go.
yes, we do.
Yeah,
Our
I'd be
cap
curious
space
to
is like
see
what cap space we have.
cat
you know,
space. I mean, like I said, like I think I would definitely check it out of curiosity. I don't know if it would be something that I would. I don't know if it's something that I would watch religiously, but like if nothing
More
else was
hockey,
on,
why
I'd
not?
probably turn it on. Yeah, but I watch a lot of hockey already.
Yeah. Vincent Alvarado finding out Merkley plays in China threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Speaking of the PHWHL, shout out to the Minnesota for winning the
Yes.
first ever Walter Cup,
Yes,
and Taylor Hines, I believe, for getting the MVP of the playoffs, and she was first overall this year for their first draft, and now she's playoff MVP champion.
Yeah.
It's great. Love it.
yeah.
So shout out to
Super
Minnesota.
awesome.
And Kendall Coyne Schofield, former
Yep.
Sharks broadcaster, the captain of the team raising the cup. Sophia Cunnin, Luke Cunning's wife, beat him to a championship. Neener.
You could see that coming.
I mean, congrats to all of it. I really look forward to the names. New jerseys, they got a great deal with Bauer, so I look forward to that, and I'm curious to see how it comes.
Yeah, because like next year,
too.
like they're gonna have to have like actual team names and stuff, right?
It's gonna be.
Hopefully.
Yeah, they said they might have them ready to go in July.
Well, that's nice. Yeah.
So it'd be great, and a great first year. They kind of rushed it. Still got a great first year.
super successful, which I'm glad. I mean, obviously it's and you know what? And the one thing that I will give, like, I want to like give credit for is like it's awesome that they were able to do it without the NHL.
Yes,
For
because
sure.
the NHL wasn't going to do shit for them, unfortunately.
Right? Like I think it's awesome that they kind of did it on their own without the NHL's help, and I think that is awesome, because I think as good as the WNBA is, I don't think it survives without the NBA keeping it afloat.
Agreed. 100%.
And you look at what the WNBA has been flourishing lately, with Caitlin Clark and such. Of course, the Golden State Valkyries will be coming into town next year. So the women's sports is really catching on. Of course, the NWSL with the with Bay FC out here locally. So it's growing, and it's nice to see. To see on that for sure. So thank you for mentioning that, Jules. We will get to one more NHL thing before we get to the Sharks, and that is the infamous Utah Hockey Club, as Utah's owner Ryan Smith has decided to unveil some of the logos that the Utah Hockey
purple.
Club.
Give me purple, Utah, please.
They're going to go with black and like a powder blue on there. These first two logos I'm showing you, like, okay, that's great. Ooh, nice angle on that H there. I do like the roundel here with the Utah Hockey Club. That's not too bad, but I'm kind of hoping we get a Montreal stripe down the middle like this with the Utah in there. If we're gonna be stuck with this for a freaking year because you can't make up your mind, I mean, there you go. But
I think you want to get it right. Like, you want to get it right, though. You don't want to just rush something out and then because you're stuck. Like, once you've filed the trademarks, you're stuck, right?
Right.
So I mean, it looks amateur to like have a team that just doesn't have a team name playing next year. And it's like the Utah Hockey Club. Like, I think that it does look a little amateur hour for the NHL, but at the same time, like, once they pick a team, like that's the team, right? So it makes sense for them to want to get it right. Trademarks do take time. Yeah, I don't know, man. I like the color scheme so far. Like,
it's perfect.
It reminds me of like the old Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I've always liked.
I just kind of wish a hockey team adopted purple. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, there's not enough purple.
Like,
right.
there's just really not enough purple in this league, and like I kind of maybe it's their third color, and they're just not telling us yet. But yeah, no, I like it. I just purple. Someone, any owner out there, please, if you're listening,
I
give
know
me purple.
I know the Kings really love their silver and black look, but man, they hit it out of the ballpark in 2000 with that purple, black, and silver.
That was amazing.
That looked really sharp. But yeah, purple.
Yeah,
come on,
purple. You're right. Yeah, not enough purple. It's a good call.
And for that matter, can the Ducks just go to eggplant, shade, and orange? Can we just stop trying to pretend you're the Giants and the Flyers at this point? Because come on, eggplant and shade. I mean, how many times do you have to do a retro jersey and it flies off the shelf at the Ducks team store?
I think that I don't know, maybe, and Ducks fans can tell me I'm on crack, maybe, but I love the orange alternate.
The
like that was one of my favorite. Yeah, the orange one with the old logo on it.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. I love that Ducks jersey. I hate the Ducks, but I love that Duck. I don't know, Ducks fans, if you're listening for some unknown reason, let me know if that jersey is garbage or not.
Welcome to the Sharks land of sadness.
Right. Seriously. So let's move on to our Sharks talk right now. Hey, by the way, did you guys remember? You guys remember that Will Smith signed?
Fuck yeah. But also, Greer, you have a lot of work to do now, good sir.
Yeah. Yeah, we probably should have done a show when that happened. I apologize.
Well, we were expecting, a coach to be named, but we're getting to coaching talk.
No. Here's what's gonna happen. It's gonna be named tomorrow once we're done with this show. Because
that's fine.
They're gonna name
another show. It's fine. That's how these things work.
Yeah.
We have all summer off. It's not like we're waiting for anything to happen. Come on.
No,
anyways, go ahead. Will Smith, your thoughts, King.
It's great. I mean, obviously,
all
Will
right,
Smith's the guy who the Sharks do good. It's good
analysis.
No, I look at it's exciting, right? I think that I could understand how people may be a little concerned at this point because I think it does speed things up a little bit for the Sharks, and I think that I think a lot of people maybe they didn't want to watch the hockey next year, but they kind of wanted to kick the can down the road another year. And I understand that, right? And I don't think that Will Smith coming over is going to make them suddenly competitive and they should just go spend all their money and try and like be in the playoffs next year. Obviously, like that's not going to be the case. If you want to, I mean, Chicago got Connor Bedard, who is the better player of the three, unfortunately, and they were still dog shit this year. So like, I don't think the Sharks are going to be good, but bringing over Will Smith and then I can't imagine Macklin Celebrini not coming with Will Smith being here already. If the Sharks do draft him, I know people are like, can we draft the guy first before we start talking about him? Like, and I kind of get it. Even though it's kind of like the most obvious, like it's the most like, we just need the formality to happen. But I feel like once he's drafted, I can't imagine him going back to college with Will Smith being here. So I mean, you're starting the clock, right? These guys are gonna be good players. Like these guys are the guys you're supposed to build the entire team around. I think that I brought up the Rangers earlier, how they kind of, got a guy like Panarin to come in and kind of kickstart things there. I don't want the Sharks to go crazy because I don't think that the rest of the prospect pool is probably where I'd want it to be at this point. But you don't want it you don't want this to be a situation either where, you bring these guys over and we're 4 years down and we're still like, oh, well, we're still talking about this next guy that's going to come and, make everything better to add to the team. Right. So it's a really interesting spot that Mike Grier is in now, because with Will Smith being on the team now, it starts the clock, right? It starts the clock on getting back to respectability. And I think that there's obviously, I think this draft class is going to help, but there's, other than Macklin Celebrini, nothing you're bringing in this draft class is going to be here next year. Most likely, maybe somebody you draft 14, maybe they can make the team too. But chances are probably not, right? So there are still some pretty significant holes in this prospect group. So it's going to be interesting to see how Mike Grier does now to try and get this back on the road to respectability, because that's what this signifies. It's no longer about trying to see where the bottom is. Now it's about trying to get back up, and it's not going to happen overnight. Like, again, I don't think that, if you're expecting the Sharks are going to be a playoff team next year, I'm sorry to disappoint you, they're not. But they have to start looking for ways to get back to respectability.
Here are my thoughts on this. Listen, Smith and Celebrini have nothing left to prove in the NCAA. I don't really care what people say. One of them was the top scorer in the NCAA. The other one won the Hopi Baker at fucking 17 years old. Like,
Yeah.
if you tell me they have something left to prove, sorry, you're kind of wrong. Smith won't really get much from it, in my personal opinion, because he's in his safety blanket of playing with his two line mates of Ryan Leonard and I was about to say Quentin Musty, not Quentin Musty. Ryan Leonard and Gabe Perreault. Like, that's a safety blanket for Smith. And he even, I think, admitted it himself. Like, he wants to take the next step.
Yeah.
This does start the clock though, and like I can't argue that. But what I will say is I think next year is going to be bad.
Yes.
But I think you bring in Smith and Celebrini to give Eklund some help, one, because you can't have Eklund go through another season he went through this year. That's for a 21-year-old. That is ridiculous. The Sharks are not a playoff team, but you can't have lower than 19 wins this season. Like, it cannot happen. You have to hit the 20 win mark and go over it, hopefully. But like, I think, if you bring Smith and Celebrini, you start Celebrini on the second line, you start Smith at wing. And I think Smith is going to start on the wing and then move slowly over to center once a guy like Couture, maybe, we don't know if he plays or not, but like, until he can take over that spot. I want Greer to go out and sign a free agent that's going to help Smith and Celebrini. Like,
yeah, they have to bring in guys. Like, they can't just
Right.
have, they can't be just a gaggle of,
yeah, like
they need real guys, not guys from the Guy Factory. Like,
yeah.
and that's, I think, the frustrating thing for this team, because if you look at the blue line is Guy Factory City.
Well, they have no actual, except for Muka Madulin, that blue line's going to stay fairly similar. They don't have any young guys ready to take over that blue line. Now, they might draft a guy in this year's draft, like a Stian
Yeah, we're not
Solberg.
bringing them right away.
We're not bringing them in right away. So I think the forward prospects for the Sharks, I think, are very solidified. We know who it's going to be. That defense and goaltending, God help us. We have no goaltender younger than 21. But I don't mind Smith and Celebrini coming over. Like, they have nothing left to prove in the NCAA, and let this year be like an adjustment period, because neither of those guys are going to come in and dominate right away. Maybe Celebrini, not Smith. Smith is going to we're going to come on here a lot of nights and be like, what the fuck are you doing, Smith? But yeah,
I think just to answer a question in the chat, like, is like, I don't, as far as Will Smith goes, like, he's going to start in the NHL. He's going to get a chance to play in the NHL until he proves that he can't play in the NHL. And sometimes that happens. Like, the jump to pro hockey is a tough fucking go, man. It's a big adjustment from junior hockey, from the NCAA, from Europe. It doesn't matter where you're coming to the NHL. It's a jump, but he is going to get every opportunity to prove that he can play in the NHL. And if he does have to go to the AHL for whatever reason, that's fine. It's not the end of the world, man.
Smith is gonna have bumps. Like, he's gonna have bumps, and we're gonna probably come on here one day and people are gonna be like, Smith is a bust. No, he's a 18-year-old kid taking on the NHL. It's not going to be a smooth sailing for the kid. But I think it was time to bring both of them over, and this does start the clock. So I'm curious what Greer does to bring in the support for them, because like, you can't have a season like last year. Like, whatever you do, you cannot have.
Yeah, I just think he's kind of hamstrung, right? Because like, as far as this season goes, because like that blue line, like you're gonna look like you. I'm
not saying the blue line. I'm just saying bring in like
no. But I mean, like, if you're looking for like why this team can't turn this around like super quick.
Yeah, it's because of the
line
blue
is
line.
why
The blue line.
You look at the guys that are signed on the blue line for next year, right? Like, there's a lot of guys you can't really move, and then so you're gonna probably you're gonna bring back Henry Thrun. Obviously, I'd like to see them bring back a guy like Ty Emberson. But I mean, like, Vlasic's not going anywhere. Mario Ferraro's not going anywhere. I don't hate Jan Ruda being on this team. I know Jan Ruda is like not everyone's favorite guy, but I think he's a good, solid guy to have around. Kyle Burrows, you can throw into the sun. As far as I'm concerned, Matt Benning will be healthy. You could throw him into the sun as far as I'm concerned. But those guys are still going to be here, right? So,
sorry, go Puckguy.
I was going to say, the Sharks have $37 million to play with. But you think about 12.65 million is on injured reserve as we start, next season. You have Logan at 8, Vitek Vanacek. Yeah, remember him? We had a goalie at the deadline. 3.4 million. Matt Benning 1.25, and of course Ty Emberson is a restricted free agent. Let me try it again. Ty Emerson is a restricted free agent with arbitration rights.
Correct.
So you do have some. So you mean, let's think about 25 million to play around with to get some veteran presence in here.
Yeah,
look,
and
honest,
that's
we
what they
it.
need, right? You're
They
not looking for. I mean, if you can find a guy who you think can be here long term, that that's a free agent that will come to San Jose, great. But I don't think it's not. I wouldn't be upset if it's just like they bring in some just good veteran guys, right? Because that's what they need at this point. This team, they just need to surround these kids with some good veteran players that can, not like complete dead weight, but like guys that can come play, help them play respectable hockey. I think the best thing for the Sharks next year is they can't be embarrassing. Like this year they were embarrassingly bad, right?
for sure.
They can't be that next year, in my opinion. Like I don't think that is acceptable. They can't. This is not a team that can get scored to have 20 goals scored on them in 2 games.
Yeah. And I think a coaching change will help in that, because maybe David Quinn's system was just not fucking working for the Sharks. So we'll see who they hire in that regards. But like you can't get embarrassed. And like, you look at this free agent class, there's a lot of guys there that could help Celebrini Smith just get adjusted. Because I honestly think Granlund's your 1C, Celebrini's your 2C, and Smith is on the wing. But this future Sharks team is going to be fast. That's one thing I will say. They're going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. Like
it's gonna be so much fun. Like you have guys like Musty and Holtman. Our left wingers are fucking Eklund and Musty. That's elite. Anyways, I'm done.
And just in the 11 billion times we'll be talking about line combinations after the prospect scrimmage is going to be epic. Let's just put it out there.
Oh, the prospect scrimmage this year, if you by any chance can watch it, I highly recommend it, because it's going to be fire.
Oh, it's going to be super fun. Yeah.
It's going to be super fun. You get to see Mac Daddy play for the first time in a Sharks uniform. Like, it's like, this is what it's called having a good prospect pool. And I don't think the Sharks are used to that.
Right. So really quick, does Will Smith go to the wing first, or you throw him at center?
Start him at the wing, please.
I mean, it depends on it depends on who else is on the team, right? I think it's a situation where you probably start him on the wing, and then like if someone gets thrown over the dot, you throw Will Smith in there. That's probably what I would do with Will Smith if I was the coach. But it also depends on who's playing. Like there's some big question marks next year. Logan Couture obviously is a big question mark next year. Is Logan Couture going to be healthy enough to play? I know a lot of people are just like have wrote Logan Couture off this team forever, and I'm not ready to go there, because I think that while his injury and like recovery from injury and everything, like this is going to be something he's going to have to manage the rest of his career. It's not going to be something that just gets better. He has had a lot of time off of hockey, right? Like he played a couple of games. He's going to have the whole summer off, obviously. So I'm curious to see what he looks like coming into camp. And then if he doesn't look good in camp, then we can talk about that. But I'm not ready to talk about Logan Couture not being on this team until training camp, when we see where he's at, because I think it's just to just automatically assume he's out, I think is foolhardy. And look at maybe that will be the case, but it's not a conversation that I want to have.
No, yeah. And I
don't even like Logan Couture that much, but I just but it's not, but I think it's really foolish to just assume like he's done forever. And unless he says he's done, then he is.
The Sharks just need to bring in more centers. I will say, like in general, like this year, center should be a target for Mike Greer, because they need some insurance at center, just because you can't have a 17 and 18-year-old.
Well, yeah, and that's the problem, right? Like if Logan Couture can't go next year, then obviously the center position, it does cause some serious concerns at center, where you probably want to bring in another guy so that you're not
giving 17. Like I love Celebrini, I love Smith, but let's not play with fire here, guys. Like they're not gonna. No.
I think you could 2C one of them.
Well, Celebrini, yes. I don't think we should have a center depth of,
Oh, I don't think
Celebrini, Smith, Sturm should not be your only centers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So moving along with the Sharks prospect portion of our program, Sharks bona fide offers to Svoboda and Klee, and you say bye to Mason Beaupit.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
I mean, look, it's.
Can we pick goaltenders? Does it become the new defenseman issue with drafting?
If you look at the thing, here's the thing, right? And I'm hoping like with Ryan Miller being here now and his role being more also in scouting and not just development, I'm hoping that they take swings on the Sharks goaltending picks over the last some time have been really weird. Like they've picked some really weird guys who have put up some really pedestrian to bad numbers in junior hockey, which I don't think like, and look at, I'm as proud a Canadian as the rest, but like, I'm not looking for Canadian goaltenders in the current prospect thing. I would like to see them draft a goalie that maybe has over a 900 save percentage in junior hockey. Like, not rocket science, right? Like, you go back. I mean, you look at like Zachary Emond, Ben Gaudreau. Like, at least with Ben Gaudreau, the thing with Ben Gaudreau is at least like Team Canada also. He had Team Canada also kind of fooled. So like I can see where the Sharks kind of like got led astray there. So that's, I give him a little bit. Like Mason Beaupitt was like, his numbers were never good, and he finished his career in the BCHL. Now let me tell you, the BCHL is where you play in Canada if you want to play in the NCAA, right? It's a league below the Western Hockey League. You go there. The only reason you play there by choice is because you want to play in the NCAA instead of going the Canadian Junior route. So you play in the BCHL. You don't go to the BCHL after you played in the Western Hockey League by choice, right? And like he was like, no one in the Western Hockey League wanted this guy. So like, why should the Sharks? I mean, that sounds really harsh and mean, but that's the reality. I mean, if nobody in the Western Hockey League wanted this guy as an overage player, why should the Sharks be interested in giving him a contract?
I will say this: if you're looking for goaltenders, this might not be the best draft. And I suck at scouting goalies, but like from what I've been hearing, like your Carter George is a guy maybe the Sharks look at in this draft. Ilya Nabokov is a name that's been floating around like crazy. There's another one that I'm blanking on. So this draft isn't the best draft for goalies in full honesty, but if Greer wants to take a shot at like in the third round at a guy like Ilya Nabokov, please do.
Fascinating. So he's a fascinating player, right? And I did. Someone said something to me on Twitter, and people got mad at me because I never really like. It was one of those things where it was like
people got mad at you.
Well, because I'm just like, yeah, I mean, if he had a late round pick, like he's like, I understand like he's put up dumb numbers and like, but I've never really like up until like someone said it on Twitter, like I am not a prospect guy, right? Like I come on, I host the draft show and I just ask the right questions. Or at least I try to people that know better. So I never really gave it like much thought, and it came up and I'm like, yeah, I guess, I mean, he's 21, right? So like if he's, if he's still around in the late round or whatever, and then I looked at his numbers in the case. He's a fascinating player that I'm curious to see if someone, because I think some people are like, are you out of your mind? Like this guy could go as soon as the second. And I'm like, okay, calm down. Like, sorry. I answered out of hand and didn't really put much thought into it. My bad. But no, I mean, he's an interesting player. Obviously he's put up some ridiculous numbers in the K. So I think that team's, I wouldn't be surprised. Like it'd be interesting, right? Because obviously he's a guy that you would draft him and you would want him like over, and I don't know what his contract status is over in Magnitogorsk either, where he plays. So he's a fascinating player. I'm curious to see where he goes in the draft if he does get drafted. I would wonder if the Sharks would sniff around that, because I think goaltending is definitely a spot where I like Magnus Kronos, but like I don't see Magnus Kronos like the next star.
No, it's Devin Cooley.
Stop it. Georgia Romanov's a guy I like, and maybe he turns into something, but like I don't I don't have like future star starting goalie when I look at the Sharks prospect. Like I don't see that guy. So it'd be an interesting swing for the Sharks to take. I just don't know where they would take him, and like where I would take them and where I wouldn't be angry that they took him. I think he's still a 21-year-old, right? Like
third round is probably where I would 18, 21-year-old goalies who magic beans. But yeah, it's hard to predict where they're gonna go, and I think this draft after pick 2 is just let's throw a dartboard and hope for the best, eh? So like I don't know. But this draft, I would rather Greer take some of the defensemen in this draft than goalies in this draft, to be honest with you. So there you go.
Gotcha. All right. More draft content is coming. We just got to figure it out. Let's be quite honest.
Yeah.
Of course,
There's some questions in the chat that I do want to get to, and we will get back to them. I promise.
Yes. You tell me where you want to go.
Do we have anything else we have to talk about, Coach?
Well, yeah. Let's talk about
that, and then I'll go back some questions, and we'll.
Coach Watch 2024, day 41. Why hasn't anybody signed with the San Jose Sharks yet? Why have any insiders know anything about this?
Look at Puckguy hitting a high C. That wasn't a high C.
Ecto cooler for the win. All right. But I gotta say, gang, it already leaked out. It was from a tweet that involved Elliot Friedman. I mean, didn't you guys see this earlier? Elliot Friedman said he couldn't do a 32 Thoughts on Friday, and I said enjoy the ribs in Dallas, see you Monday, and of course I snuck in assuming no news on the Sharks coaching vacancy. And then of course Sharks president Jonathan Becker says, Eric, didn't you get the note that you'd be hired? So guys, I want to know, Jules, I want to know what kind of coach you think I'm going to be for the San Jose Sharks.
You need to tell them who your assistants are, because the assistants might cause some.
It's you two guys.
Oh
wow.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming Ian's running penalty kill, right?
Yes.
He'd be the guy that yells at the referee.
You'd get kicked out. We'd
There
get game
you go.
misconducts too often. Jules casually dropping what? Oh, music knowledge. No. But no, in regards to the Sharks head coach, I'm not concerned they don't have a head coach. I'm more just frustrated because I have things starting up soon, and I would really not like for them to drop it when I'm busy. So like I'm more just frustrated in that regards.
Like when they traded Eric Carlson, and I was on a highway in Nova Scotia. That was my favorite.
Like
when all our phones were blowing up, and like, oh my god, it's happening, and I'm stuck at work, and we're trying to figure out how we're getting on the air at like 11:30 our time. Yeah.
I was like north of. I don't know where I was. Where was I? Yeah, I was like north. I was like on the highway north of Halifax, heading to I think it was PI I was going to, and like it was like, oh, this is a trade that happened. I'm like, God.
Like,
of course.
I would just appreciate it for them not to like break it when I'm busy. So
my career, can you do it on my schedule, please?
If you're listening, can you hit me up and I'll send you my schedule for the next month, and then please plan accordingly. But like in all seriousness, like I like the coaching candidates that have been leaked. Most of them. Except for maybe one, but even that one, I could learn to like it. So like, okay, well,
sure about that?
I can see why Greer hires him, but I think let's not be idiots here. It's Marco Sturm. Like I
hope so.
He checks all of the boxes, and I think the only reason this is taking so long is Greer probably wants to talk to Jay Leach from the Kraken, or maybe Todd Nelson from the Bears.
Yeah, the Hershey Bears who are still playing.
Because, mind you, insiders know nothing about this. Zip.
Very little. It's surprising how little has gotten out about it. I think there's a few candidates that are like kind of whatever. Like I don't love the idea of Jeff Blashill, obviously. Marco Sturm I still like Ryan Warsofsky a lot, and I will be really kind of miffed if he's like out on the outside looking in when this is all said and done. If he's not the guy, if the Sharks can't keep him on as an assistant, I think that would be unfortunate, because I think he's a guy who's I think is going to be a good coach in this league at some point. So I do not want Dave Haxtell. Stop it.
No,
Patrick. No,
because we already had someone in the Discord.
Love you, buddy, but no.
What did Tiger say on the Discord? Who was Claude Julien? Yes, Claude Julien.
No, we're not going retreads.
I mean, whatever, right? Like, I think that I'd like to get like Marco Sturm get a shot, and it's like he's like the only guy who is like where you're not going to get flack from me for. It's like, can we just hire someone who hasn't played in this city at some point that fans can go, oh, look at that guy. I think that's like the one guy where I won't give that objection to, because I think he's paid it. Like he's gone through, he's paid his dues. I think he's gone and he's done different things. It's not like just make this former Shark the coach, because that's how this
Joe
works.
Thornton. Sorry, I won't say that.
Stop it.
No, but like in all seriousness, like he checks all the boxes for Greer, and I really like what he did with the young defenseman the Ontario Reign have.
Mhm.
And like the Sharks have a lot of raw like defensemen coming in here and later. So like I would love Ryan Rosofsky's another guy, but my worry with Rosofsky is maybe there were some complaints about him that he maybe was like lost the room or whatnot.
It's
Like
not
you
his
know what
room
I
to
mean?
lose.
Yeah. But like, so that's I want Sturm. I think Sturm's the best fit for this job, and I think he checks off the boxes. So Greer, we made your coaching decision for you. You can thank us later. Hit us up on the super chat, please.
Yes.
The coffee's kicking in for those who can't tell. But yeah, I think Marco Sturm is probably my bet. Or Rosofsky. If they can keep Marco Sturm and Rosofsky, I will come on here.
Yeah, like that would be ideal, right? Like to me, like it's if you do bring Marco Sturman and you can keep Ryan Warsofsky on the staff, I think that would be a nice win. But I think there's like you want to make sure that that Mike Greer gets to talk to all the people that he wants to talk to.
And I
too,
think
and
that's
there's still
the
guys that
holdup.
are still coaching. So I think that might be the holdup. Otherwise, I wouldn't be shocked if we get something before the Cup final. I can't imagine getting anything. Although
Is there
there's a
a
lot of
break
days off in between.
the Calder Cup finals and the like conference final? If I can, like maybe he announces it between then if he wants to talk to Nelson.
Maybe, but again, I mean, obviously, like I want them to get it right. So like, I'm not super upset that they haven't done it yet. But I'd like just get it right. Obviously talk to the people you want to talk to. I don't think it's like as much as like we want something to talk about. Like, I don't think there's a rush here. Like
No,
season's not
just
until
abide by my
October.
schedule, please. No, I'm joking. But I
You're
think
not.
I'm not. Sarah Volley did say that he wouldn't be surprised if there's a dark horse. Oh, hi, puppy. He would he wouldn't be surprised if there's a dark horse. Also, Ian's dog is the new Sharks head coach, everyone. There you go.
Can you get down? You're heavy. No way.
Oh, puppy. It's so cute.
That is adorable.
Yes. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, looking at the schedule right now, a game 7 of the conference finals in the AHL go till June 12th. So, is there a possibility that
Give me a second, I'll be right back. I guess put them
go
aside
for it?
here.
I mean, I think there's a possibility that the Calder Cup finals could be. I mean, the Calder Cup could be presented in July.
So ignore my previous statement, everyone.
So I mean, it'll
I
be
think
interesting to see what goes on there.
I think it gets done to like within this week. Genuinely, like I don't think Greer enjoys prolonging this any more than it needs to be. He is at the combine right now. He did interview Celebrini today. I'm sure they raged about BU.
Right.
But yeah, I think this gets done this week, and if anyone wants to predict when, that'll be great. If anyone knows a witch that can tell me when, that'll be great. And yeah.
Wow, we're using witchcraft now on this program. Light as a feather, stiff as a board. That's all I'm going to leave from the craft here. So remains to be seen. Warsofsky, Sturm, Nelson, I guess, and
Leach, maybe.
And
Leach. He didn't get
Leach.
the job in Seattle.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Just waiting for Pavelski to officially retire.
Hey, I'm just waiting for the Coachella Valley position to see if Jessica Campbell takes it. If she gets it. Or she comes to the
come to
NHL.
San Jose. There you go.
So, all right. Well, let's see. I have some starred comments. First and foremost, like a tiger with the super chat that happened about an hour ago. What are we talking about? Jeff Blashill being hired as Sharks head coach. You keep your mouth shut, young man.
If Jeff Blashill gets hired, we have to blame like a tiger because he said that about 8,000 times.
Here's the thing with Jeff Blashill. Like, he's not hot. Like, I don't think I'd be super thrilled with him as the guy. But like, he had to coach a Red Wings team that was in absolute denial of where they were for a long time.
That is true.
Like that they were just in denial of their lot in life. So I think that, I don't know, like I'm not saying like I'm not advocating for it. It wouldn't make me very happy, but like, I'm all for second chances. So like if it and I can't control it, obviously. So, I mean, if it happens, like I don't love it, but like, I think I'd be curious to see what he did with the second chance. But again, I'm somewhere else, please.
Like-
Go ahead.
No, you're good. Go
Oh,
for it.
okay. Going through some of these comments. Did I get new ink? No, I have no tattoos on me. Or submit a Utah concept. It's in the works right now. So I had a generic Utah concept I've been meaning to put out. I just haven't had a chance to. So
We
Christian,
bully Puckguy into getting a tattoo if something happens. No, I'm joking.
no, I know you want. I know you want to get messed up in Vegas, but man, geez.
I
And
don't.
that's if I get to. You should have heard her on the Discord the other night, people. If you only heard. Oh my gosh.
This is live.
Cruisin', did you buy the suit yet, Puckguy? Yes, I do have I have 2 teal actually I have 3 teal jackets that are ready to go. So, but the sequin one, not yet. Jules has got to buy it for me. So thank you very much.
What am I
Amanda,
buying?
you're buying my teal sequin suit that you wanted me to get.
Oh
to
yeah,
go
if this
through.
gets 100 million likes, Puckguy's
100
wearing a fancy
million.
suit.
Wow,
No, just a
100
million likes.
million.
Just a million.
100 million.
No, million.
Let's see
Puckguy
where
will
we're
wear a
at
fancy
right now.
ass suit. It's gonna be amazing. So
Well,
please
you
share.
only have 999,983 to go on that for 100 million.
There we go.
1 million likes. Amanda Bell, good to see you, my love. I saw something that says the team made up with the most Canadian players has won the cup, the last 10 cups.
Oh yeah, that means
so that
Oilers.
means Oilers.
That means all of our predictions.
I don't make
were
the
wrong.
rules.
Felix, I think AJ's asked this on a Pucknologist, but let's say Couture is done. Who gets the C of the A's next season?
Yeah, and that's where I kind of said I don't I'll have that conversation in training camp. I'm not having that conversation in June.
Yeah.
But also, can we not have 8 assistant captains, please, for the love of Christ, Sharks?
I don't mind the 4 though. If you have enough
If you
leaders on
don't
this
have
team.
a captain, sure, go 4. But
Right.
sorry, that's a dumb argument to start. But I don't know.
Yeah. Sharks Jules, the drunkest fan will get to coach the Sharks.
Oh,
Dear
yeah, no,
Lord,
absolutely,
congratulations. Never mind. I'm not gonna say
Wow.
it. Marcia So, San Jose Sharks. Lamey, no.
No.
I don't here's the thing with Marcia, so right? I don't hate it. But again, it's not a guy you want to commit term to because of his age. And I think that he's a Conn Smythe winner. He was, and again, I think in Vegas's brief playoff run, he was one of their best players still. If he does happen to hit the market because the cap isn't real and somehow Vegas will make it work, but if he does hit the open market, I think a lot of teams are gonna be barking up that tree, and I don't think a lot of teams I think. I'm trying to think of a team that
Reinhardt goes to Vegas. Marcia So goes back.
Oh my God, Puckguy, why?
Okay. But you know what I mean? I think there's a lot of teams that might look for a team that might want to get over the hump that has a little bit of cap space. Maybe Winnipeg, Winnipeg for Marcia So. That'd be an interesting. I don't know if the cap would work, but I think that's a team that that could use that little extra something. I just think it would I wouldn't hate it. I think it'd be a guy to bring in, and I think he would be a good influence on the younger guys and stuff, knows how to win, whatever, etc. I can't see a guy like that not getting picked up by a contender.
Yeah.
I think if Greer offers him a buttload of money for maybe 2 years, if he wants a payday, you're gonna go to market. Vegas probably is not gonna get you that. But if Greer wants to bring him in to have Smith or Breen sling passes him, why not?
Right. Vince Alvarado. Remember when we drafted Steve Burney instead of Zach Parise, and also Nick Petrecki, who want to forget us Wilson specials. Don't get me started with this.
Will say this on
Don't
Nick
get me started.
I will say this on Nick Petrecki. Nick Petrecki was a victim of the rules changing, because I think Nick Petrecki would have been a good NHL defenseman if they didn't clean up all the obstruction and everything else. I think he was a perfect guy to play the 90s dead puck hockey. The problem was he got drafted and then the rules changed and that just didn't work anymore. He was the type of player that just couldn't adjust to the rule changing, where obstruction got cleaned up and the game got better. But for the rules not changing, I think at the time he was taken, I think it made a lot of sense. It just, the rules changed and Nick Petrecki could not change with them.
Gotcha. Molasses, let me tell you, Puckguy looks spiffy in those jackets. Thank you very much.
There you go.
Let's see. Real Deal Prime before we get out of here. Jules mentioned she. Whoa. Okay. Never mind. That would have been really bad on the audio portion. Oh, you almost got me there. Almost got me there. All right.
It's good.
I never seen her turn that red before in the
No,
two seasons.
I meant the defense.
He also asked earlier if Cooley was done in San Jose. Yeah, of course he is. Listen.
Oh my god!
Yes,
Oh
I got it.
my
I got to get the hate comments.
That was.
We got to get the hate comments in. Listen.
Yeah. Well, no, we
Listen.
all know he's the
That's all
goalie.
the affiliates were running along, as AJ would
Here's,
say it. At
here's the
145.
thing, right?
Oh,
Devin
God.
Cooley was
Yeah.
exactly what the Sharks needed at the time, and I think that's true. Like I think it was
Absolutely.
a great story for just a absolute shit situation that the Sharks were in. I think it was a great story. It's awesome, but like here's the reality: the Sharks have Vanacek and Blackwood in the NHL. The NHL spots are filled. They already have 3 goalies signed with the Barracuda. One of them's on an NHL only deal in Gabriel Carrier. Otherwise, you have Georgi Romanov and you have Magnus Krona, who I think it's Magnus Krona's net until he proves that it's not his net. I don't know where Devin Cooley fits in that. And I don't think Devin Cooley's a particularly good goalie either. So I don't think it's a huge loss. Like, it was a nice story and it was exactly what the Sharks needed at the time, but he's not good, guys. Like, I understand it's a good story, and I know this hits the heart warmers if you're a local person more than my asshole up here in Northern Ontario.
Jeez, we've
heart.
derailed. So y'all are gonna love the T-shirt I'm getting Ian. He's gonna wear it one day, and it's gonna be awesome for
Right.
everyone.
Listen, I think it was a great story. It was fine. He's not a good goalie. It's
wow.
time to stop.
You're telling me
Stop mentioning this guy in the same sentences with
William
players like Will Smith
Macklin
and
Celebrini.
Macklin Celebrini and
boy.
William Eklund. Like, we need to stop including him in those lists because he makes you look like a moron.
Yeah, no, don't include. Yeah, no, that's not.
And
Tell
on
me I'm an
that,
asshole in the comments. There you go.
and on that note, in case you missed anything, when you watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher, whether it's Apple, Google, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeart, Odyssey. Of course, if you're watching us on YouTube, leave a comment down below what you think of Ian's comments tonight.
I'm sure those will be
I'm
lovely.
sure I'm sure I will be a know-it-all prick again. And that's
Oh gosh. But
Canadian
of course,
robot strikes again.
of course, get those likes going. Jules wants to spend her money on a sequin outfit
Oh,
for
I'm
me
not
to wear
buying
the draft.
that.
Oh,
That's
you're
gonna be
buying
through
that.
your super chats,
Oh, no.
guys. I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
buying
Oh, well, we're
I'm
at
a broke
90
college
so
kid.
far. Okay.
Keep going.
So hit that like button and smash that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, because at sometime around 3:45 tomorrow afternoon is when they'll announce that the Sharks head coach is yours truly.
Marcos.
With that, I think it's time for us to get out of here. I appreciate each and every one of you. So thank you for watching. For Jules, for Ian, I am Puckguy. And until then, keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real, Teal. We will see you hopefully very soon with the naming of a Sharks head coach. Have a great night, everyone.